Hey everyone, welcome back to Inside the Philippines. Today's story comes from Tyler, a 48-year-old HVAC tech from North Dakota who thought he'd finally found something real. After years of loneliness and cold nights, he met a sweet, respectful Filipina who made him believe in second chances. No games, no red flags, just comfort, connection, and a simple dream of building a life together. But what started as a quiet love story slowly unravelled into something much harder to face, and the way it ended changed him forever. If you're thinking about dating in the Philippines or starting a relationship with someone overseas, this is one story you need to hear first. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. We read every one of them. Now let's get into it. Here's Tyler's story in his own words. Hey, look, I don't really do this kind of thing, typing up my personal screw-ups like some kind of journal, but I found your channel and I figured maybe if I told you what happened to me, some other poor guy might think twice before doing what I did. So here goes. There's this one thing Reyna said to me, burned into my brain like a cigarette scar. We were sitting in this little apartment I'd paid for, lights off to save on the electric bill, fan barely working, and I just asked her something simple. Can't even remember what it was now. Something dumb like, why do you always put your phone face down? And she looked right at me and said, calm as you like. Ty, you'll never understand how things work here. That line, that tone, like I was some clueless tourist who didn't deserve answers. Like I was too American, too soft, too outside to ever really get it. And maybe she was right. But I'm telling you, that was the moment everything shifted. I didn't say anything right then, just nodded like an idiot. But inside, something broke, not all at once, just a little crack that spread fast. Looking back, I should have packed my bag that night, should have cut my losses, but I didn't, because by then I'd already given up too much, my job, my truck, my place, my time, my pride. All for her. All for Reyna. I told myself I was building a life. I was actually just digging a hole. More on that in a bit. But yeah, if you ever hear those words in the Philippines, you'll never understand how things work here. I suggest you listen real close, because it might be the only honest thing you'll ever get. So how does a guy like me end up sitting in a cramped apartment in Davao, sweating through his shirt and getting told he'll never understand how things work? It didn't start with some big dream about Asia or chasing young women. It started with boredom, loneliness, and too much quiet. I'm 48, been in HVAC since I was 19, North Dakota born and raised, which means long winters, early mornings, and a lot of time inside your own head. After my divorce, life got small real fast. I got the apartment. She got the dog. My daughter got older and busier. I don't blame her for that, but the house went real quiet. No noise, no arguments, no laughter. Just the fridge humming and the TV talking to nobody. Most nights I came home smelling like burnt dust and old insulation. I'd crack a beer, eat whatever frozen thing was cheapest, and sit there scrolling on my phone until I passed out. Weekends were worse. Too much time to think. Too much space to notice nobody was there. One night during a snowstorm, after a brutal shift fixing a broken furnace, I ended up on YouTube. I don't even remember what I searched. Something about starting over. Something about men moving overseas. That's when I saw a video about the Philippines. Beaches, smiling people, simple life. The guy talking looked relaxed. Not rich, just lighter. Like he didn't carry the same weight I did. Next thing I know, I'm in a Facebook group about dating Filipinas. Not the flashy stuff. The serious relationships type group. I didn't post. Didn't comment. Just lurked. And that's where I saw Reyna. No filters, no heavy makeup, Just a normal photo in a plain shirt with greenery behind her. She said she was 29, from Davao, helping her mother and doing part-time work. I sent a message without thinking much of it. Expected nothing, she replied. And she kept replying. She wasn't flirty, wasn't dramatic, didn't send hearts or selfies every 5 minutes. She asked about my work, asked what North Dakota was like, said she'd never seen snow, called me Kuya Tai, which I had to Google. When I teased her about it, she said it was respect. I hadn't felt respected in a long time. We talked every night after that. Not long calls, just steady, comfortable. Sometimes we ran out of things to say and just stayed on the line anyway. I'd fall asleep with my phone beside me like a teenager. I know how that sounds. I also know how it feels when no one has said goodnight to you in years. She never asked for money, not once, never hinted, never complained. That's what got me. That's what made me trust her. She felt real. By month 6, I was planning. By month 7, I told my boss I was leaving. Not taking time off. Leaving. Sold my camper. Sold my truck. Ended my lease. Everyone said I was crazy. I told them I was starting over. Truth is, I was tired of freezing and tired of being alone, and I wanted to believe someone actually wanted me. Reyna said she'd be waiting at the airport, and she was. The moment I stepped off that plane in Davao, I knew I was in a different world. Humid like a steam room, loud as hell, and the smells, grilled meat, diesel fumes, flowers, sweat. It all hit me at once. And then there she was, Reyna, holding a little bouquet of yellow flowers and smiling like I was the only man in the airport. She wasn't dressed fancy, just jeans and a plain top, but seeing her in real life knocked the wind out of me. She looked smaller than I imagined, quieter somehow, but she gave me a quick hug and said, "Welcome home, Tai." That hit me harder than I expected. Home. It had been a long time since anyone called anything I was part of home. We didn't stay in the city. She said she wanted me to meet her family right away and that they lived in the province, which I figured meant out in the sticks. I didn't mind. I grew up fixing broken farm equipment in sub-zero weather. I thought I could handle a few rough edges. Well, this was different. We crammed into a bus that took 3 hours through twisting roads, past rice fields and tricycle traffic, then jumped on the back of a motorbike with all my bags strapped to it. By the time we arrived, I was soaked in sweat, sunburnt, and half deaf from the engine noise. Her family's house was built on stilts, one light bulb swinging from the ceiling, no running water, you washed out back with a bucket and a scoop. There were chickens under the floorboards, and at night, the dogs wouldn't shut up. I tried to act like it didn't bother me, but I didn't sleep the first night. I just laid there under a mosquito net, sweating through my shirt, wondering what the hell I'd signed up for. Her family was friendly, I'll say that, curious too. Her uncle kept asking how much my shoes cost. Her mum stared at me like she was trying to decide if I was real. Reyna translated here and there, but mostly I just smiled and nodded. There were a lot of cell phone pictures taken. I felt like a zoo animal at times. Still, Reyna was sweet. She held my hand, cooked for me, walked me down to the little shop to buy Coke in glass bottles. She kept saying how happy she was that I came. I started to relax, started telling myself this was what I wanted, a simple life with a woman who loved me. After a week, she told me it was time we had our own space. "We need privacy," she said. I agreed instantly. I wanted out of that heat, away from the roosters, and honestly, I was tired of feeling like a guest in someone else's life. We found a small apartment back in the city. Not fancy, but it had aircon, a real bathroom, and a lock on the door. I paid 6 months up front. That's when things started to shift. Just little things at first. Reyna wanted a new mattress, some shelves, then a better rice cooker. Nothing outrageous, and I figured, hey, this is our place now. Let's make it comfortable. She was still affectionate, still called me Kuyatai, but something was different. I couldn't put my finger on it yet. All I knew was I'd passed the province test, and now we were supposed to be building something together. I just didn't realise she was the one holding the blueprints. I was just footing the bill. At first I chalked it up to adjustment. New country, new rhythm, new relationship. I kept telling myself it just takes time to settle in, but something was off. Not obvious, not loud, just off. The expenses started small. We needed curtains, then a better fan. Then she said her little brother's tuition was due and her family was too embarrassed to ask for help. I didn't even think about it. Sent the money. I was in love, and in my head, I was stepping up, being the man. That's what you do when you build a life with someone. You carry the weight. Then came her phone. It's old, she said, flipping it over like it was a broken toy. Hard to video call me family. So we got her a new one. After that, it was her cousin's baby needing formula, her uncle's motorbike repair, a birthday, a funeral, another birthday. At some point, I stopped asking questions and just opened my wallet. It became a reflex, like fixing a leak. You see the drip, you grab the wrench. Meanwhile, Reyna started going out more, sometimes with cousins, sometimes to run errands. She'd come back hours later looking tired, sometimes with new clothes or her nails done. I noticed, but I didn't say much. I didn't want to be that guy. The clingy foreigner who didn't understand Filipino family culture. I was trying to play it cool. Still, things changed. At night, she wasn't as affectionate. Our conversations got shorter. Sometimes she was on her phone late, smiling at the screen, then locking it fast when I walked by. One night I made a joke. Maybe I should put a PIN code on your hugs so I can still get one now and then. She didn't laugh, just said, "You're too sensitive." I backed off. Told myself I was overthinking. I mean, she was still here, right? Still cooking, still saying I love you when she left the house. That had to count for something. But I started feeling like a guest in my own apartment, the one I paid for. I'd sit on the couch, sweating through my shirt while she got dressed to go help her auntie. No details, no timeline, just, I'll be back. I didn't have any friends there, no job, no schedule, just time to think. And the more I thought, the more it felt like something was slipping away, slow and quiet like a leak under the sink. You don't notice it right away, but the floor warps, the smell creeps in, and by the time you realise what's happening, the damage is already done. Still, I stayed quiet. Because love means trust, right? And I wasn't ready to admit I might have been wrong about her, or about the life I thought we were building. Then came the land, and that's when the drain turned into a flood. Reyna brought it up one night over dinner. We were eating fried fish and rice in front of the little stand fan we kept dragging from room to room. She wasn't even looking at me when she said it. Just kind of tossed it out there between bites, like it was no big deal. My uncle found a small piece of land. Good price, near my mama's house. We could build something there. Simple life, you know? At first, I thought she was just daydreaming. We'd talked about the future before. Kids, maybe a small store, getting a dog. But I didn't think we were at the land buying stage. I mean, I still hadn't figured out what day the trash got picked up. But Reyna was serious. She had pictures, a video. She even talked to a barangay captain who knew someone. The price wasn't crazy, around 350,000 pesos. That's what, 6 grand? It was a lot, but not impossible. Still, I hesitated. I asked her what name it would go under. She blinked. Mine, of course. Foreigners can't own land here. I already knew that, but hearing it out loud felt different, like the stakes got sharper. I asked her if we could wait. I told her I wasn't ready to make that kind of move yet. Her whole face changed. That soft voice turned cold. She said, "You don't trust me?" Just like that. No pause. No attempt to understand. Just straight up guilt. Then the tears came. Quiet at first. She turned away, wiping her face like she didn't want me to see. But I saw. And I caved. I told myself it was an investment in our life. That love means taking risks. That maybe this was her way of feeling secure, of proving to her family that I wasn't just another foreigner passing through. So I wired the money. It only took a few clicks. A 6-figure peso transfer that emptied my emergency fund and left my stomach in knots. Reyna hugged me after, said, "You won't regret this." But I did, almost immediately. The next few weeks she got distant. No more baby talk, no more couple selfies. She started sleeping on the edge of the bed. I'd wake up and she'd already be dressed, heading out to take care of things. When I asked about the land, she said it was processing. When I asked for details, she changed the subject. One night I found myself staring at the empty rice cooker, wondering if the land even existed. I didn't want to believe she was lying. I just didn't want to believe anything anymore. The more I pushed it down, the more it twisted inside me. Then came the night she didn't come home, and after that, there were no more doubts. She said she was going to a wake. It was around 6 in the evening, and Reyna was dressed in black but casual, jeans and a dark blouse. She didn't seem sad, just distant. Said it was her aunt's husband's cousin or something like that. I barely caught the details. I was on the couch, nursing a red horse, and halfway through a movie I didn't care about. She gave me a kiss on the cheek, grabbed her bag, and left without saying when she'd be back. I didn't think much of it at first. Funerals here are different, long. Sometimes people stay overnight. I told myself it was just the culture, no big deal. But when midnight rolled around and she wasn't answering messages, I felt that familiar twist in my gut. Not panic, just that sick, low hum of knowing something's wrong and trying not to admit it. I stayed up, kept checking the time, kept refreshing the messages. Nothing. By sunrise, I still hadn't heard from her. I texted again, then called. Nothing. I tried her sister. No reply. Around noon, my messages finally went through, but she didn't respond. I stared at the screen like an idiot, wondering what I'd done, wondering what she was doing, wondering who she was with. She came home the next day around lunchtime, walked in like nothing happened, no apology, no explanation. Just dropped her bag on the chair and opened the fridge. I asked her where she'd been, trying to keep my voice calm. But I felt the heat rising behind my ears. She just looked at me and said, "Don't act like you own me." That was it. That was her answer. I didn't even know what to say. My mouth opened, but no words came out. She didn't yell. She didn't cry. She just stared at me like I was a burden. Like I was something she was done pretending to need. The rest of that day we didn't speak. The next morning she was gone. Her clothes, her shoes, her makeup, all of it. Just gone. No note, no call, no goodbye. I tried messaging her. She blocked me. Her cousin came by a few days later, said Reyna was staying with someone else. I didn't ask who. I already knew. Some other foreigner, maybe richer, maybe just newer. The cousin didn't look sorry. She just shrugged and said, "Sometimes it doesn't work out." That's when it hit me. I was never her future. I was just the transition, the guy who paid for the next step. There was no land, no plan, no life together. Just a story she told me long enough to make it believable, and I bought every word. I spent the next few days in that apartment like a ghost, didn't eat much, barely slept. I'd sit on the edge of the bed staring at her empty vanity table, wondering how someone could disappear so fast, like she'd never been there at all. The fridge was still half full, her toothbrush still in the cup, but her presence? Gone. Not just her stuff, but the whole feeling of her, like someone flipped a switch and rewound the clock to before I ever met her. And I was broke. Not completely, but close enough to feel the walls closing in. I'd wired over $6,000 for land that didn't exist, paid half a year's rent up front on a place that now felt like a prison, and had no job, no contacts, no income. My bank account had enough to maybe get me back to the States, maybe if I didn't eat much and found a cheap flight. I tried to sell what I could, aircon unit, furniture, even the damn rice cooker. But resale value here? Pennies on the dollar if that. Most people didn't want to buy. They just wanted to know why I was selling. And when I said, she left, they nodded like it was nothing new. I started to hate that nod, that, yeah man, happens all the time kind of look. I reached out one last time, borrowed a buddy's burner SIM card and sent her a message from a new number. Just one sentence. Did any of it mean anything to you? She read it. No reply. That silence? That was worse than if she'd cursed me out or said she never loved me. At least then I'd have something to hold on to, something to yell at. Instead, all I had was this emptiness in my chest and a question that would never get answered. I walked around Davao for hours that week, no direction. Just sweating through my shirt, trying not to fall apart in public. I passed a lot of couples holding hands, saw foreign guys sitting at cafes with new girlfriends, laughing like I used to. I wanted to shake them, tell them to wake up, but I didn't, because a few months ago, that was me, smiling, hopeful, blind. It's strange how fast hope can rot. By the end of the month, I packed what little I had left and booked the cheapest one-way flight I could find. I didn't say goodbye to anyone, didn't leave a note for her. There was nothing left to say, and nothing left of me to stay for. It's been a few months since I got back to North Dakota. I'm back in the same old apartment, same weather, same tools in the back of my truck, same quiet evenings with the TV on just for noise. You'd think after everything I went through, coming home would feel like some kind of relief. But it didn't. It just felt flat. Like I'd carried the weight halfway around the world and somehow brought it all back with me. People ask sometimes how my trip went. That's what they call it. A trip. Like it was a vacation. I just say it didn't work out and change the subject. They don't need the whole story. Hell, most of them wouldn't believe it if I told them anyway. You'd be surprised how many people still think this kind of thing only happens to old desperate guys or fools sending money to strangers. They don't realise it can happen to someone like me. A regular guy, hard-working, not rich, not stupid. Just lonely enough to believe someone saw something in me worth sticking around for. I wish I could say I came back wiser, that I'd learned some deep lesson about love or life or trust. But the truth is, I didn't come back better. I came back damaged. The kind of damage that doesn't leave bruises but shows up in the way you stop answering messages, stop believing people mean what they say, stop feeling that flicker of hope when someone smiles at you. Reyna didn't just take my money, she took my trust. Not just in her, but in women, in relationships, in my own judgment. She made me question whether I even know what love looks like anymore, or if I ever did. And the worst part? I'm not even angry at her now. I was for a while. But anger fades. What's left is something colder, emptier, a quiet kind of numb that settles into your bones. People have told me not to give up, that not all Filipinas are like that. Maybe they're right, but I don't have it in me to find out. I can't go through that again, giving everything, only to watch it disappear like it never existed. I don't want to be someone's stepping stone. I don't want to spend another night staring at a locked phone or wondering if a kiss means anything or if it's just part of the act. So yeah, I'm done. I clock in and I do my job. I go home. I keep my circle small and my expectations smaller. I fix broken things for a living. But what happened over there? That's one thing I don't think I'll ever be able to fix. And maybe that's just how it ends. That was Tyler's story. A man who gave everything, his money, his time, his trust, for a woman he thought was building a life with him. And in the end, he was left with nothing but silence. Stories like this aren't easy to hear, but they're important, because behind the palm trees and sweet smiles, there are real risks, real heartbreak, and real consequences for men who go in with open hearts and closed eyes. If you've been through something similar, or if you're thinking about starting a relationship in the Philippines, take Tyler's story as a warning. Not every love story here ends in a scam, but if you ignore the red flags, if you give too much too fast, it can cost you more than just money. It can take pieces of you that don't grow back. Thanks for watching Inside the Philippines. If this story hit home, let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe, and stick around for more true stories of love, loss, and lessons learned the hard way, straight from the people who lived them. We'll see you in the next one.